Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are doing well today. Today's webinar topic is on high performing teams. I am Priyanka Parikh, your host for today. Talking about QNX, QNX is a management consulting firm having an experience of more than 25 years with 350 plus satisfied clients present in 19 plus countries. QNX Inspire is an HR consulting wing of QNX specializing in organizational development, employee engagement in three areas, that is, onboarding, development, and retention stage. Our approach to solve your problems is outcome based. We want to be recognized as happiness partner for your organization as happy employees are more engaged at work. QNX Inspire believes in optimizing three P's important for an organization, that is, people, profit, and productivity. I am glad to introduce you to our speaker for today, Ms. Trisha Maniar. Ms. Trisha works in the area of building great teams. She is currently an associate consultant at QNX Inspire. Also, I would like you all to request to write your queries in the comment box and we shall take them in the Q&A session at the end of our webinar. Now, I would request Ms. Trisha Maniar to take over the session.
Thank you, Priyanka. So before starting the webinar, I would like to go through the topics that we are going to cover today. First, we are going to talk about what are high-performing teams. Then, we are going to talk about the elements of high-performing teams. Last but not the least, we are going to have a case on elements of high-performing teams. Also, I would like to share that we are going to have part 2 of high-performing teams, which will be related to how to create elements of high-performing teams. So, to start with, I would like to talk about what are high-performing teams. So, when we talk about what are high-performing teams are the group of people who have specific roles, which are having complementary talents and skill, which are aligned and committed to a specific purpose, which performs consistently to a level with high level of collaboration and innovation, which will lead to superior results. So when we talk about high performing teams, there are tight focus group, which have a focused team process and also which leads to high performance. When we talk about the examples of high performing teams, we have a movie example called Lagan. We all have seen the movie Lagan, where the Indian team was focused on one aim or one goal, that is to remove England out of India so that they don't have to pay the Lagan that they used to pay. They were focused, and so they formed a team which aimed at only one goal, that is to remove England out of India. The second example that we have here is isn't it a best example of high performing teams, where Formula One race, we always see that within seconds they have to change the tire and refuel the car, and they have to send it back to the race. So their aim is only one, to refuel and change the tire within seconds and win the race. So now, what are the different elements that leads to such superior performances of this teams? So now we'll talk about high performing teams. So now we'll talk about what are the elements of high performing teams. The first one being clear goals. A team is formed because they want to achieve certain goals or output at the end. So what actions that they take to achieve that goal depends upon how clear the goal is. It is very important to have a clear, well-defined goal, which is concrete, and people, uh, uh, which is clear and concrete, and people know what their goal is. In an organization setting, in an organization setting, we have an organizational level goal, which is for the whole of the organization to realize. Then that goal is further bifurcated into different teams, which team broken down into different teams, which each team has to attain, and then further broken down. Each team has different team members who within whom the goal is bifurcated further. So it is very important to have a goal which is very concrete and well defined, which helps to achieve the end term results. The next element being clear roles. Once a goal is defined within the team, it is important to have well defined roles within the team. If we have well defined roles, it will help in more productivity, as people will be better able to know what their goals are and will be able to perform what their roles are. It will also help in increasing the accountability and responsibility for that people. So if the person knows what their role is, and the team also knows what each person is accountable and responsible for, then the person will be able to uh, better perform the goal. Also, it will help in improving the skills and talents of the people. If you have a clear role, the person will be practicing the same role again and again, which will help in improving the skills and talent of people. Also, it will help in providing better results, because if the roles are clearly defined, each person is uh, summing up total to reach the end term goal. The next element being open culture. When we talk about open culture, we talk about three elements in it. The first being the culture of trust. Trust is very important for a team to be high performing team, because trust is important. It will help people to discuss within each other and will build uh, 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 more informality within the team. Also, it will help trust will help people to trust will help to uh, trust will help each other to talk about their personal and professional life. The next being informality. Informality is the atmosphere that we have within the team. It talks about how comfortable and relaxed people are while sharing their problems, while sharing their what they want to talk about if anything is going wrong within the team. Informality basically talks about no fear of sharing anything, plus understanding each team member well, and also there is no rivalry or any petty feelings about each other. When we talk about open communication means a freedom to express their feelings. In any team setting, leaders have there will always be one leader, so there will always be a hierarchy when you are in a team. But the leaders should have an environment where they have open communication, where they can talk freely about what work is and what are the team processes that are followed within, and if they have any problem, they can talk about it freely with anyone within the team. The next element being psychological safety. When we talk about psychological safety, it is very important for a team setting. Psychological safety is a concept is very important to have an effective team, where a person feels safe to share his or her views about what is happening in the team, is freely able to participate in the discussions, and in turn doesn't have a fear of not being having affected his promotion or appraisal. So when we talk about psychological safety, we have four elements which leads to high performing teams. That is, the first being consensus. Consensus means having sufficient agreement. It does not always mean that everyone agree to what the discussion or what everyone is agreeing to, but having sufficient agreement to a particular problem. The next being disagreement. When you have team, it is evident that we will have disagreement within the team. But it is important that when you have disagreement, you share with, you discuss, you talk about it rather than avoiding or covering up. The next element being active participation. Where active participation is very important in a team setting where each member is allowed to participate in the discussion and also to talk about also to put forward their views if they beg to differ. Also, participation increases ownership because each individual will, if they participate in the discussion, they feel that they are part of that decision and they will take the ownership of it and make sure that a particular thing is achieved. The next being listening. When we talk about listening, we all say that we have listening skills, but when we really go to see, we all hear. Listening is a very intensive exercise where a person first hears what the opposite person has to talk about, then try to understand what he or she had said about it, and try to understand and add his viewpoints and then share it back. So listening is a very intensive exercise and it is very important for a high performing teams. Next element is shared leadership. When we talk about shared leadership in a high performing teams or in any team in that matter, we always have a leader or a hierarchy. But it's not necessary that a leader knows everything or a solution to every problem. There can be many others in the team who might know better than a leader about a particular situation or about a particular problem. So, in a high performing teams, the leadership is shared among each individual depending upon the problem and depending upon who is an expert to solve that problem. So, depending upon the situation, the leadership should be shared and not only it should stay with the leader who is a defined leader. The next element being self assessment. It is very important for us to improve in life to have to know what our past was, how it was. If we were successful, then why we were successful. If we had failed, then why we had failed. So we need to self assess what our past work processes were and how we did it. Did it work for us or did it not? So it is very important to do self assessment of the team processes that we had. So this are all about the elements of high performing teams. Now I would like to talk about the case that we have attached. The case that we have attached to know more about the elements of high performing teams. When we talk about the case is of 1994 from Harvard Business Review, where the case name is The Team That Wasn't. So to first talk about, let me give you some background about what the case is all about. The case is of Fire Art Incorporation, which is a regional glass manufacturing situated in the city, Indiana, US. They are the world class, it is a family owned maker of wine goblets, beer stains, ashtrays, and other glass novelties. It has been succeeding since 80 years as a high quality and high priced producer, catering to hundreds of Midwestern clients. The CEO, Jack Derry, found that since past 18 months, the profits are flattening for the company, and that he found that the reasons are low mass production profit, new technology coming in glass industry, and also due to number of competition increasing in this industry. So he felt there is a need to do a strategic repositioning of the company. And so for that, he hired Eric, the director of law making of strategy, where he was given a task to do strategic realignment, running up of it and winning it within 6 months. So Eric made a team of taking directors of each team, that is HR, manufacturing, design, distribution, and marketing and sales and finance. So each director from each team was a part of this strategic repositioning. And Eric also knew that Fire Art, being a regional glass manufacturing, they didn't have any previous experience of having working in teams. They were a traditional hierarchical culture in the team, in the organization, and they did not have such setting before. So he knew that he might face problem while dealing with this team. So Eric decided the structure and guidelines for the discussion, decision, and disagreement that can happen in the team, and he made sure there is proper structure and guideline for the same. So he knew that there can be two people who can create problem in the team. The first one being Ray LaPerry, who is Ray LaPerry, and also Maureen Turner, who is the director of design, where she had a problem of collaborating with any person other than the design team. So he felt that he should take special care of them, but he found that the fear that he had was groundless. They were okay, and they didn't created any problem in the team setting. But there was another wildcard entry, that is Randy. Randy is a director of marketing and sales. Randy is a director of marketing and sales, where he is an energetic and intelligent person. Jack Derry, the CEO, had a personal liking towards him, and Eric felt that Randy would help him in achieving what they want to achieve, that is strategic realignment of the company with Randy, as he being intelligent and energetic. So he felt, but during the meetings, he found out something else. So let's talk about what was the problem. So the problem here was, though being talented, hardworking people, the team wasn't working. So what were the observations during the different meetings that happened in the case? So there was first two meetings, it was found that Eric had decided, as per the agenda, started the meeting, but he found that Randy was creating disturbances and he did not allow other people to speak. If any other would speak, he would disagree and avoid that person, and did not give chance to other people to speak while meeting. He also created negativism, which stopped the conversation cold, and the conversation ended there without any further discussion. Also, so it happened for two meetings, and people didn't say anything, nor did Eric, being the leader of the team, said anything. In the meeting 3, as the agenda was decided, Ray LaPerry, Maureen Turner, and Carl Siemens, who was a distribution head, were going to talk about the cost-cutting strategies or the presentations that they have made to do cost-cutting for the company. As per the plan, Ray and Maureen were able to present what they wanted to present. But when it came chance for Carl Siemens to present, he could not present because Randy was passing some bad comments and did not interrupted while he was speaking. And so Carl Siemens had to leave the presentation and sit back. And after that happened, Randy, when the meeting was half done, Randy left the meeting and went out of the room. So Eric was very sad about it, and he said that as per the agenda, there was a meeting 4 arranged, but he felt that there'll be hardly any people coming. But he was shocked to see that there were all the people present except Randy. So Eric decided rather than to go as per the agenda, he tried to talk about what group actually is at and what can be done to improve the group further. So he started a discussion where, and in the midway, Randy arrived at the meeting room. When he arrived at the meeting room, Randy was with a cup of coffee and he was standing there. Eric told him that Randy, we would like to talk about how our group is performing and what we are doing. But later on, it was found that Randy again had some problem. Eric again made his face and did not allow the discussion to happen. So one of the director from the team told Randy that what is his problem and why he is not allowing others to speak. He said that being a part of a team, it is everyone's responsibility to be a part and participate in the discussion, but you are not allowing. Is it that you want to alone make the strategy of the company and take the credit all alone? He said no, but he felt that if we do anything in a team setting, then it will lead to mediocrity and not superior results. So he was of the feeling that in a team setting they will not be able to achieve the goals. Later on, in the meeting, it was also found that in the fourth meeting, it was also found that Randy had Randy was a problem, but they also found that there were other factors that was affecting the team setting, and those were the people felt that the goal was not clear to them. They didn't know what their specific purpose was to have this team and what they have to achieve at the end. They know there's a strategic realignment needed, but they didn't know what they have to do, what their role is, and what the end term results will be. So if CEO Jack Derry felt that there was a problem due to competition, due to new technologies coming up, but is it affecting the customers? Is it affecting the sales? Is it affecting the price? What is the factor that is affecting was not analyzed, and before that they come to a conclusion that a strategic realignment or repositioning is needed. So they said that the purpose was not clear to them. Also they felt that they people had more also they felt that people if they will talk about consensus, they will not be able to reach the decision if we wait for the consensus. So he felt that that was not needed. So talking about the case, this were the following elements that we can elements of high performing teams that we had discussed in the webinar, and the problems faced in the case, which and solution of the problem that we can see. So when we talk about clear goals, people said that there is no evidence of common commitment to a team purpose or a working approach. So people felt that they were not able to know what were the specific purpose for the strategic realignment and what they wanted to achieve with this team. So they said that the solution that the case provided was so they need to have a mission statement, and on the basis of that, a goal should be aligned to the team, where each team know what their goal is, and on the basis of that, each team the team knows what clear roles are. Also, when we talk about clear roles, it said that the rules of the room are extremely unclear. While the team has a good mix of skills and experience, the members do not know how each is expected to contribute, how they will work together, what they will work on together, how the meetings will be conducted, or how each person's non-team responsibilities will be handled. So the solution to this was, once the goals are identified, each team will then better understand his or her role and the real progress can begin. When we talk about open culture, the case showed that the company was a traditional hierarchical culture, and it did not support teamwork or high performing teams. So it was necessary for them to have an open culture where people have mutual respect and trust for each other, and they should have built, before having team, they should have some skills needed to have to perform in a team. When we talk about psychological safety, the case talked about psychological fusion, where due to Randy, people were not able to participate in the discussion that happened, and it also created people to withdraw from the discussion and not put forwarding their views if they had any. So when it comes to a solution of that problem, it is like helping solution to it is high performing teams are the one which allow people to communicate, open communication that helps them to listen to what others want to speak, help others to participate, which will increase mutual trust and respect for each other, which was not there in the above case, which created the problem and the team didn't work. When we talk about shared leadership, it talks about leader creating rules, guidelines, structure for the team. But when Eric came to know that the team is not working, the processes are not working, he should have made sure that he created the team processes, team dynamics, must have kept team norms which help by keeping all the team members in it, rather than he taking all the decisions alone. When we talk about self-assessment, the team did self-assessment after the third meeting when the things were already spoiled. A proper assessment could be done in terms of, so when it comes to solution of it, Eric, as it being the leader of the team, should have done a proper assessment of the different personalities that the team members were holding. A proper structure and guidelines should have been followed if he decided what the structure and guidelines will be, then he should have followed it. And if anyone is not following it, he should have taken the decision there and then, other than waiting it till the fourth meeting to happen and then discuss. So when we talk about concluding the case, I would like to say high performing teams are the one which shows the above elements, as the above elements help each team to perform better. It helps to create a mindset where each team provides. It helps to create a mindset which helps each team to have a mindset of we rather than I. And whichever high performing or the high performing teams are successful only when they have mindset to be in a team, and when they withdraw self and they work as a team. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Trisha, for your wonderful insights on high-performing teams. So we have two questions. We have few questions from our participants, and those are: what actions, when applied daily, will keep the team high-performing? I will request Trisha to answer the question. Answer for this question.
Okay, so you said the question is what actions, when applied daily, will keep the team high performing. So when we talk about the actions that need to be taken, we can say that the elements that we discussed in this webinar, we can implement, or we can identify which elements are present in our current team, and then identify which elements are creating problem out of those, and then only working for that element and taking actions to improve that element within the team. And then so you can do a quarterly or a 6 monthly survey where you try to know what the team is doing well in which elements, and then in which elements it is not doing well, and taking actions only for those elements and try to improve and make the team high performing. So when we talk about, so there was a next question where it was written, what team needs for periodic improvements? So when we talk about periodic improvements, one thing that we can do is self-assessment. It is very important for a team to do self-assessment daily, so that they know what problems teams are facing, either in the team processes, either in the team norms, or in one of the elements of that team. So self-assessment will help them to guess the right problem and then take actions, and a proper team, high-performing team is developed. Thank you. And the slide which is shown, these are the movies which shows a high-performing team. You can watch them when free. Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha, and thank you participants for joining us for the webinar. I hope all the doubts and queries were answered. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening.